Have you ever caught yourself eating even when you weren't hungry? You know you've had enough, but something in your brain says, just one more bite. That moment, that urge, has little to do with willpower and everything to do with psychology. The truth is, overeating isn't just a food problem. It's a brain problem. It's emotional, environmental, and deeply wired into how we've evolved as humans. Understanding why we eat the way we do isn't about guilt or shame, it's about awareness. When you understand the psychology behind eating, you can finally start to take control of it. For most of human history, food was scarce. Our ancestors didn't know when or where their next meal would come from, so their brains evolved to eat as much as possible when food was available. That instinct, the drive to consume before food runs out, still lives inside us. But today, food isn't scarce. It's everywhere, all the time, in every flavor and portion imaginable. We live in a world of abundance, but our brains are still wired for survival. That mismatch creates a perfect storm for overeating. When you're surrounded by high-calorie, hyper-palatable foods, things designed to taste amazing, your brain's reward system lights up. Each bite releases dopamine, the same chemical that makes us feel good when we win a game or receive a message. Over time, the brain stops chasing food for energy and starts chasing food for pleasure. You're no longer eating because your body needs fuel, you're eating because your brain wants a reward. And then emotions make things even more complicated. Many people don't eat because they're hungry, they eat because they're stressed, anxious, lonely, or bored. Psychologists call this emotional eating. It's the act of using food as a coping mechanism. When you eat, your brain releases serotonin and endorphins, chemicals that calm you down and make you feel comforted, even if only for a moment. The problem is that comfort doesn't last. Afterward, guilt, bloating, and disappointment creep in, which can trigger the same negative emotions that made you eat in the first place. It becomes a cycle: emotion, eating, guilt, emotion, eating. To break the cycle, you need to recognize when you're hungry for food and when you're hungry for comfort. At the biological level, hunger is controlled by two hormones, ghrelin and leptin. Ghrelin signals hunger, it tells you when to eat. Leptin signals fullness, it tells you when to stop. But in a modern diet full of processed food, sugary drinks, and constant snacking, those signals get disrupted. When you constantly flood your body with calorie-dense foods, your brain becomes resistant to leptin. It stops hearing the "I'm full" message. At the same time, poor sleep, chronic stress, and emotional triggers raise ghrelin levels, making you feel hungrier than you actually are. The result? You keep eating, even when your body doesn't need it. This isn't a lack of discipline, it's a biological feedback system that's out of balance. Environment plays a massive role too. Studies from Cornell University have shown that people eat 20 to 30% more when food is visible or within reach. Bright packaging, large plates, and even lighting can influence how much you consume. Supermarkets and restaurants are designed to manipulate your senses. Colors, smells, and music are all carefully chosen to increase appetite. This phenomenon is called food priming. It means your brain links specific cues, the smell of pizza, the sight of a commercial, even a certain time of day, with pleasure. That's why you can crave something just by seeing or thinking about it. Even the size of your plate can trick you. A larger plate makes the same portion look smaller, fooling your brain into thinking you haven't eaten enough. But the strongest influence comes from habit. According to researchers like Charles Duhigg, behavior operates in loops: cue, routine, reward. Let's say you feel stressed, that's the cue. You reach for a snack, that's the routine. You feel better, that's the reward. The more you repeat that loop, the stronger it becomes. Eventually, it happens automatically, without conscious thought. Breaking this loop isn't about sheer willpower, it's about replacement. You can't erase a habit, but you can swap it for something else that gives a similar reward, like taking a short walk, journaling, or doing deep breathing. You're teaching your brain that there are healthier ways to handle discomfort. Even social situations can make you overeat without realizing it. We eat to celebrate, to connect, to comfort others. Studies show people tend to eat up to 30% more when they're in groups. It's called social mirroring. You unconsciously match the pace and portion size of people around you. You might not even be hungry, but if everyone's having another plate, you probably will too. This doesn't mean you should isolate yourself, it just means awareness is key. Slow down, notice your own hunger cues, and remember that your body doesn't need to mirror anyone else's. One of the biggest myths in nutrition is that overeating happens because people lack willpower. Neuroscience tells a different story. Your prefrontal cortex, the rational part of your brain that controls decisions, gets tired under stress, lack of sleep, or fatigue. When it weakens, your emotional brain, the limbic system, takes over. That's when cravings win. It's not that you don't have self-control, it's that the part of your brain responsible for it is exhausted. So the key isn't more willpower, it's better systems. Structure your environment so the right choices become easier. Keep junk food out of sight, plan your meals, and don't shop when you're stressed or hungry. Another powerful tool is mindful eating. In today's world, most people eat while scrolling, watching, or rushing. The brain barely registers the experience of eating, so you never feel truly satisfied. Mindful eating reverses that. It means paying attention to your food, your hunger, and your fullness. Put your phone away, eat slowly, and actually taste your meal. Notice how you feel halfway through. Are you still hungry, or are you just finishing because it's there? Research shows that mindful eaters naturally consume fewer calories and experience fewer cravings. It's not a diet, it's awareness. The real goal is to build a healthy relationship with food. Food isn't your enemy, it's your fuel. When you label certain foods as bad, you give them psychological power. This is called the forbidden fruit effect. When you tell yourself you can't have something, your brain wants it even more. That's why strict diets often backfire. They create obsession and binge and restrict cycles. Instead, aim for flexible control. Allow yourself to enjoy treats occasionally, without guilt. Consistency matters far more than perfection. When you remove the emotional charge from food, it stops controlling you. Science also gives us a few practical strategies to prevent overeating. First, balance your meals with protein, fiber, and healthy fats. This keeps blood sugar stable and reduces cravings. Second, get enough sleep, at least 7 hours. Poor sleep raises ghrelin, lowers leptin, and makes you crave high-calorie foods. Third, reduce decision fatigue. Plan your meals in advance so you don't rely on emotion when hunger strikes. And finally, track emotional triggers. Keep a small journal and write down when you overeat, what you ate, and how you felt. Patterns will appear quickly, and once you can see the pattern, you can change it. Overeating isn't a personal failure, it's a system failure. It's the result of millions of years of evolution, an environment designed for temptation, and emotions that we were never taught to manage. The good news is, all of these things can be reprogrammed. The first step is awareness, noticing the moment you want to eat and asking why. Are you hungry, or are you anxious? Are you eating for energy, or for escape? Once you start observing instead of reacting, food begins to lose its control over you. You stop being a passenger in the cycle and start being the driver. You don't need another crash diet or extreme challenge to fix your eating habits. You need understanding. Real control doesn't come from restriction, it comes from awareness. When you understand how your brain and body work, you can make eating choices that actually serve you. You'll realize that success with food isn't about never eating certain things, it's about knowing why you want them in the first place. When you reconnect with hunger, emotion, and satisfaction, eating stops being a battle. It becomes balanced. So the next time you catch yourself reaching for food, pause for a second. Ask yourself, what am I really hungry for? Sometimes it's food, but sometimes it's peace, rest, or connection. Once you learn to tell the difference, overeating no longer has power over you. You'll eat when you need to, stop when you're full, and finally feel free from the constant push and pull between guilt and control. Because the psychology of eating isn't just about what's on your plate, it's about understanding the person holding the fork.